Around the corner in the Pulaski County Courthouse, a state judge gave public school advocates their chance to take on the LEARNS Act.
Attorneys against the huge education reform law claim the state legislature did not vote properly when they passed it back in March. Today's hearing centered on the so-called emergency clause to make the law take effect right away.
And THV 11's Jalissa Garza spent the day in the courtroom where Judge Herbert Wright heard the arguments. She joins us now. Jalissa.
Rolly Faith, today's hearing came together because LEARN's opponents convinced Judge Herbert Wright that lawmakers failed to follow a procedure set down in the state constitution. He put the law on hold only to have the state Supreme Court reverse that restraining order. But all parties involved met this morning.
We are actively collecting signatures. We're actively training more volunteers and taking donations.
Veronica McLean is the chair of Citizens for Arkansas Public Education and Students, also known as CAPES, the group who has been working to block the LEARNS Act.
The most important part of this is that if the emergency clause is ruled unconstitutional, we can hold the LEARNS Act in abeyance until the people get a chance to vote for or against.
CAPES and public school advocates say the state constitution is clear. To make a law go into effect right away, there has to be an emergency, and lawmakers have to vote on the bill and the emergency clause separately. Attorney Nolan, who represents the plaintiffs, says it's clear that wasn't done.
The evidence today unequivocally showed that the emergency clause was not passed with a separate roll call vote as required in the Constitution.
The key evidence in the courtroom, video of when both the House and Senate voted on the LEARNS Act. It shows the process that the legislature has been using for years. They tell members they're voting on both at the same time, but record the two votes separately in the official journals. The state says the journals are all that matter. The judge wouldn't allow cameras to see and hear the witnesses, but the staff in charge of how the Senate chamber works, parliamentarians, took the stand. They testified to what happened when the votes took place, but didn't give an opinion of whether it's proper, leaving Nolan to fill in the blanks for Judge Wright.
The Constitution says separate votes. The legislature didn't take separate votes. The state should not then be able to apply the LEARNS Act illegally in a way that harms my clients and harms their children.
Attorneys representing the state were not able to speak on camera today, but Attorney General Tim Griffin did share a statement with THV 11 saying in part, quote, "I am aggressively and proudly defending the LEARNS Act and the constitutionality of the process." Now, we'll have that full statement on THV11.com. There were also no closing statements today, and Judge Wright says he'll make a decision within the next 2 weeks.